What we wanted to do with this session is, first of all, make sure you understood all the different places you can get your analytics, right, within the applications, in particular the mobile app. And then also show you a couple best practices, not so much around, key metrics, which might be your secret sauce or how you're analyzing things, but more around best practices for dashboard design that we want to start, helping you implement or, move everyone more towards just over time. So before we do that, let's talk about how we can turn insights into action. And as I said earlier, it is critical to have analytics baked into your applications. There's a study out from somebody, and I'm writing a paper on it, and I'll put it on the website, and you guys will all get about 100 email blasts, I'm sure, about it. But they were talking about how the user adoption of applications improves when you have your analytics baked into the applications. Is tremendous. And also, the use of analytics in general improves greatly when the analytics themselves are in the places where people use them. And there's a lot of great, data behind that. And so we really want to make sure we keep our analytics forefront, no matter what kind of user you are. And I always say the analytics is kind of what helps set us apart, right? Because we're trying to keep all this comprehensive solution and the data that goes along with it reportable in one place, even when you're mobile. So it's a big priority for us, and we got to spend a ton of time working on our analytics, believe me. And I know you all do too. A lot of the requests, most of the support requests we get are related to analytics a lot of times. So we are really focused on it. So make sure your analytics are baked into your mobile app, and don't think of it as just like, that's an afterthought, right? The mobile app is for people to enter information, and that's really not the best use for it, right? I mean, it's a good use for it, but you can get so much more out of your mobile apps and so much more user adoption, and users will be happier because you're delivering value to them when they're in the field. I mean, literally, it's not easy, right, to be able to see the sales in an account, within a second, on your phone, which, by the way, we can do. So I'm going to show you a couple things around the mobile app, and then I'm going to show you some of the dashboard best practices, okay? So within the mobile app, and I'm going to show you in Serenity, the new mobile app. Look, you've got three main places to bake in analytics. Number one is on the home page, where you get that half screen, small screen. That's a great place to put some major KPIs or stuff, that you just want them to see right when they log on, okay? The other place is you've got a full dashboard tab. You click dashboard and you're going to get the full thing, okay? And that is, a dashboard you can assign to different profiles, so different people will see different dashboards. But that's a full screen view, whether your phone or tablet. You got lots of tabs and lots of really full analytics like you're used to seeing in the browser. The third place is when you go to an account. Every account has an embedded dashboard on it. And now with Serenity, that is a full screen dashboard as well. Okay, so let me show you those three places and the best use cases for them. We're going to attempt, to do this a couple different ways. We're trying to show off a lot of things, so we're going to use a simulator again. And, this is a phone size. We can put the frame around it, but it'll break. So this in the simulator. So imagine you're on your phone, you're in Serenity. This is your home page when you log in, okay? This is where you've got your lists that, we talked about that, have the cards. Everything is resized. And by the way, when I scroll down, there is a dashboard spot here. When you're in tablet mode, this is to the right, which I'll show you in a second. So you've got a dashboard even on the phone, okay? One of the things that we do in what are called analytics settings, if anyone's ever looked into this in the app, is how we configure it. This is where you configure what dashboard shows up where for who. And we do it so that the system will know what kind of device you're on, and it'll put in the right dashboard. Because one dashboard doesn't suit all devices, right? If you make a really nice dashboard for your tablet and you think that that's gonna look good on your phone, obviously not, okay? So we have different dashboards for phones versus tablets, and then of course browser. So here I am on the on a phone representation. So you got a small dashboard there on the phone. When I click on here, you'll notice in the home waffle button, I've got a dashboard we call a tab, okay? When I click this, and again, because I'm on the simulator, it doesn't know I'm on a phone. So I apologize, I've just shrunk the size of the screen here. This would show the dashboard that you have designated for the phone dashboard tab. And you know, it takes up the whole page vertically, but it's very narrow, okay? One thing to note is that while you cannot have a lot of tabs in a phone mobile app, right? You know how we have dashboard tabs? There's no room for it. You can do drill throughs. So even though I don't have a lot of space, boy, I can see I got 187 objectives. I can click on this and drill through and get something. And again, this isn't the right thing because I'm on the phone. So you can actually get places and get a lot more out of this space using drill throughs and drill through and another drill through, and then you can just back your way back out, okay? This is the spot on the phone, and then the last one would be, what was I gonna do? I was gonna go to an account. When you're on an account, you'll notice up here you got your account call, right, sequence button here. You got your map, which shows you where you are and everybody nearby. This is our dashboard icon. So if I click this, I get a full screen, full page dashboard, okay? And again, drill throughs and so forth are a great way to drive around from these instances. So let me step back now and show you what this looks like if I were on a tablet, which, Jason, is this good? Do I need to resize it to go like this?
No, that's fine.
All right. Pretend we're in a tablet now. It's roughly the size. And let me show you where this stuff is. So I go to the waffle, back to the home. So you'll notice here my lists and all that are here. This whole right side of the page is designated as a dashboard location. And I don't know why this homepage dashboard didn't work on the other one either. So again, and drill throughs are possible. And because we're on a tablet now, I can have a bigger dash here, right? This is not the phone homepage, this is the tablet homepage, so different versions. The other place is waffle and go to dashboard, and I'm getting a full screen dashboard here with, again, tabs and drill throughs and all kinds of wonderful things. While I'm here, I'll just show you a few that I like. These drill throughs, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, from these headlines are kind of nice. You can click and drill through, but even down to the account level, like, wow, Bar Louie bought 933 cases. They're plus 43. The last order was 10 days ago. My last visit was 7 days ago, and I have 7 objectives, open objectives. Good information for a salesperson to have, right? I love this one as a signature kind of dash. Click through and get details and all kinds of things to see more data. I'll get into more drill throughs in a second. And then lastly, if you're on an account and you go here, you're getting a full screen dashboard with everything you ever wanted on it. One of the things I want to show you about this, actually, can I go to, what was that account I was going to? It was a Bar Louie, like number 5 or something. Where is that thing? This one. All right. This is a good example of what to put on a homepage dashboard, right? Things like last order, last account call date, right? Volume plus minus, points of distribution plus minus, how many open objectives, when was my last survey and the score, and then how many brands or labels are authorized, right? So I know that this is a chain account. This outlet's supposed to have 4 products authorized. I can see the account sales right below by month, by product. Okay, and click through and drill through to any of these. I like this one. I can click through here and say, well, what brands are authorized? I can click through and see these are the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 that are authorized. This one has a menu even. 2 of them have menus, and I can see what they bought of those brands. I showed you this earlier. This account is not in compliance. I got a problem, okay? drill through to from your highlights page. If I click on the volume, it's going to show me by brand, year to date, this year, last order, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now you understand kind of what's possible in the mobile app. Don't think it's an afterthought. It's really rich and really good stuff, really good information here, okay? Let me jump back now to the browser, if I can find it. No, sorry. Okay, I'm actually, oh no, I want to go in here. Go in the app. Yeah. So that's the mobile stuff. Couple best practices, right? Don't just measure how many, right? Try to measure ROI. These are things that have been themes we've been talking through. Use it to uncover opportunities. Use insights to drive your strategy, but help your reps every day in every account. Give your reps a benefit. A lot of times, how many of you have said their reps like, I don't want to use this. Like, I think it's a burden or what have you. You know, deliver value to them through the dashboards, right? Salespeople love to see sales data, right? And they're like, oh, great, now they're excited, now they're hooked. So that's the best way to keep them excited, is to keep the analytics fresh, introduce something new every once in a while that help them do their jobs, right? Really a best practice. So I'm gonna take you through sort of a drill path on what I kind of call a best practice. When you're designing dashboards, it's a great idea to use a story. Come up with your use case for the person you are, user you are, and come up with a story of what you'd want to see, and craft your dashboard that way, okay? If you're just putting tabs with, here's my sales year to date, and then here's my objectives, and then here's it, and you've got data's there, and you just have to click and find it, you're not getting the insights as readily as if you were using drills and telling a story, okay? And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to start with what I'm calling the sales KPIs, and we're going to drill down through all this stuff. So hopefully makes some sense. All right. How does that look? Good? You can see it? Okay. So here I am. I want to actually do a few things. God, I can't even see this thing. I wanted to call out a couple of, call them definitions. Make sure everybody understands what we call things versus what you can call them, but, and make sure everybody knows what's possible, okay? First of all, there's some KPIs that are basic sales KPIs. Number one, volume, right? We know that. Number two, accounts sold. Number three, points of distribution or pods. Number four, velocity. Let me describe what each of those things are. You know what volume is, and you can do that in any unit of measure you want. But accounts sold is, we define that as the count of accounts that you have sold something to, okay? Versus a point of distribution, which is more like the count of the number of products you have sold to an account, okay? They're very different. I could have, Williamsburg Hotel could be an account sold for my Griffin Bay gin. It's one account sold. However, I have 4 points of distribution here. I have my Griffin Bay gin, 175 liter, 50 ml, and something else, okay? So they're all very valid KPIs to actually measure your business and analyze your business. Velocity, is our version of velocity. Everybody, if you went to business school, you probably have a definition of what it is. I'm going to tell you what ours is. We don't have sell-through data, obviously, from the account to the consumer. So we can't exactly tell you what the consumer velocity is. All we can tell you is your distributor data, right? How much product did the account buy from your distributor over time, right? And we can call that velocity, all right? And so we usually define velocity as the, how did I write this? The volume per point of distribution, okay? So if the account bought 3 cases and there's 3 different pods, right? You could say their velocity is 1 case per point of distribution, okay? Velocity is 1. And then you factor in time, okay? So you can do your velocity for 1 period, or you could divide the volume into months and say they do 3 cases per month in velocity. Or you could say they do 6 cases per year is their velocity. So time, volume, and points of distribution are the factors that go into velocity. And you can all manipulate it different ways. You can do it by brand, you can do it by label versus size. So there's a lot of ways to work that in. And then revenue, as we said, we've got the revenue here. We've got both your STR, like your sales to retail, sales order revenue, but we also have if you're a supplier and you send us shipments, we typically have your revenue, the supplier revenue from sales to the distributor. You can leverage that and use that as well. Now, let me talk about time. Because I'm coming up with, after years of doing this, some new ways and better ways, I think, of you leveraging good data to do some of this over time reporting. Okay, so look, you can count things over, as a total. You can count things as what we'll call this period, and you can count things as a prior period or another period. Those are the general, right, buckets of time that we're going to use in how you're calculating your metrics. But the common ways that you now do this over time are you can say year to date. Everybody understands what that means. And we use what we call an as of date, right, on the reports. So I can say, what's my sales year to date as of July, right? And it's going to tell you January, February, March, April, May, June, July versus last year, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Okay, we get that. I personally don't think that's always the best way to analyze your business. And unfortunately, it's the standard. And it's what a lot of our customers and really kind of start with and implement right away. There's better ways, which are more about what we call a time series. And some of you may have been doing this on certain dashboards where you can program it to be on a rolling basis, right? What are my sales on a rolling 12 months basis, right? That way, if it's January, if you had a year-to-date report and it's January, I mean, you're looking at January this year versus January last year. You're not getting much. So maybe rolling 12 is a better way to look at it, right? Rolling 12 months versus the prior 12 months. But my favorite one now is what we call a date range, which is where in the app you can, with just one filter, you're picking any start date you want, any end date you want, and comparing that period versus the prior period for those same months. I'm going to show that to you. I think you're going to like it. Okay. So, having said all that, I'm going to go to my sales KPI tab. This is just maybe a new template that we're going to start using. But here's my KPIs, right? Volume, accounts sold, pods, velocity, and revenue. The sixth one that we can do that we're doing a lot of now is reorder rates. Okay, so we've been leveraging reorder rates with a lot of customers, and it's pretty neat and interesting. You can see, hey, this account bought, but how many times and did they repurchase? Because it's a big difference, right? So that's a KPI we're going to start leveraging more with our customers. Here we've got, this is actually called a waterfall. And, my off-premise volume, right, last year was 20,888, and I'm down 1,958 cases this year. So here's the on-premise. It's a much smaller base, but it's up. And here's my revenue, right? And then, by brand with the waterfall. So, wow, my biggest brands, Griffin Bay, is up. But Jones Family Wine is the biggest, and it's way down, right? So some great way to visualize some data here. But most importantly now, we'll tell the story. And we'll do our click-throughs, our drill paths, right? So I might say, boy, this is great. Let me just clear off all my filters here. I might say, boy, I want to drill into my volume or my account sold, right? I'm up 9.2% year to date. When I drill through, here I am looking at my account sold by brand, right? So, oh, great. Jones Family Wine is way up. I'm up 39 accounts sold this year to date. So drilling through based on a specific metric, right, on each one of these is a great one. And there's a tab set up for each. But then I can also come in here and say, wow, my on-premise volume, I want to analyze this a little bit more. And I click it. What I'm getting to here now is just showing the full on-premise, volume plus minus, accounts sold plus minus, pods, et cetera. And when I say, well, that's wonderful, but what is it by brand, right? I can click through, territory. Click through, and in this case, I've said, show me this by territory now. So now I can see, great, out of my on-premise business, right? Or I guess I clicked on off-premise. You can see that it comes over in the filter. So it stays filtered, and here's my 2 markets. We don't have a lot of data, as you guys have heard. And here's how each market is doing in the off-premise, okay? I can then click through further, right, and say, well, great, I get the territory, let me get further. So I click on Indiana, I guess that is. Here's all of my sales reps in Indiana. So now I'm looking at my off-premise sales in Indiana by person. Volume, accounts sold, pods, velocity, revenue. I can see areas of opportunity, issues, et cetera, and I can say, well, Allison Becker's doing pretty well. Let's see what's going on with her. Click on the person, and guess what? I see it by account. Right? So here's all Allison's accounts in Indiana, off-premise, and by brand, volume, plus minus, last order, the status, right, which tells you kind of a color thing we do, how many times they've reordered the product, all time, if they have any cocktail menus, right, that have been recorded in the account. If they've done any trainings, by the way, this is year to date. They've done no menus year to date, no trainings. She has no open objectives, and there's no authorized products. So you're getting somewhere. You see where I'm headed with this? And then you can go even further, which would be trying to find an account that has a menu, which our data is really bad. You guys probably noticed that. But let's go to the Blarney Stone, Irish Pub. I'm assuming. Here's the Blarney Stone by month, right? So just more and more granularity. We like to do things like this where it shows year to date, but then you also get the full year so you know what you're up against moving forward. And then, again, menus by the glass, staff training displays, what other activities you want to show them by month so you know when these things actually occurred. Blarney Stone has done nothing, so I can get out of there. Let me show you one of my favorite things to drill through to. And I think let me start at the beginning so I can tell you the story. By the way, does everybody know when you got a bunch of filters going, you got this unsaved view up here, you just clear all the filters with one click? Okay, so let's see if I can get there. I'm going to go to my volume, and I'm going to say, wow, my Griffin Bay is doing pretty well. Let me drill through to that. Now I'm looking at just Griffin Bay by territory. Boy, Indiana's doing great. Let's see what's going on there. I drill into Indiana. I can see it by person. I forget who has a menu. Darn it. Let me try Allison. I don't even think she does. I can drill into a person, see all of her accounts. Look at that, no menus. Darn it. Jim, help me figure. What's that?
Our sales team has been lazy.
Yeah, haven't they? I'm just going to cheat here so I can get. I know, you're right, yeah. Anyway, I'm looking for accounts that have a menu this year to date. Maybe don't even have any, we only have last year. Could that be true? All right, Hideout Lounge. All right, Hideout Lounge, right? I can see everything they've done, they've done 3 menus year to date, 2 trainings, 9 open objectives. It's interesting, they said they had 3 menus on Griffin Bay when they haven't bought any this year. All right, little insights here. But I can click through the menu. Gives me to it another account level detail, right? So by month, what they've bought, and I can see, wow, here are the menus. They got a new one in January, a new one in Feb, a new one in March. And when I click on the menu, it shows me a picture of the menu. But for some reason, it doesn't know that this is me. So you guys say, look, we take all these pictures in the app all the time. You got the photo browser, which is great, right? You can go online and, or in the browser and look at all this stuff. But here, through the click path, I can be a manager. I can see, hey, look at the volume of this account on this brand. Oh, you supposedly have a menu in here. Click the menu, and it'll show you the picture in the dashboard right there, which is great for validating things and other research. What do you think of that? Is anyone pretty excited about getting images within the application? Oh, you know why? I think it's because I'm in incognito mode, perhaps? Yeah. All of our pictures are really bad anyway. There's like pictures of my dog. There's pictures of Jim's kitchen. So drill through to pictures, right, is something you guys can all leverage moving forward, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I think at this point, I don't have much more to say other than remember to start leveraging drill throughs to other dashboards. It's the best way to move around and tell the story and get yourself to an insight really quickly. So, question, Bill?
Yeah. Thanks. That's really cool. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, so we look at this account and we say, look at that, this account's up 42%, but we don't really know too much about it right at that point in time. Can you marry your volume and pod data with our KPI objectives? So we could say Bill's Bar and Grill up 42%, sales rep has achieved 80% of his objectives last 6 months, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you can tie them to objectives that have been closed and won. You can tie them to survey scores by account. Yeah. We showed a couple of those things earlier, but absolutely, you can incorporate that stuff right here.
Great.
So the answer is yes.
The one other thing we need is the time frame since last salesman change.
Hey, that's a good call. All right, so let me show you, last thing I'm going to show you is, let me show you an example of this other date range. You see how everything I'm doing here is as of date? For example, let me just get to this page. Let me take off a brand here. This is a standard table, right, dashboard. One report on this dash. I got a couple of filters here, but this is as of March. And look, this is volume year to date. Most people use, right? I could say, well, what was my volume as of December 2018? And now, obviously, the time period has changed. So it's January through December 2018 versus January through December 2017. We get that. But it's year to date. It's only year to date. When people have said, well, gee, I ran a program that was April, May, and June. I can't, how do I analyze that? Well, here's how we do it. Let me find the right. This demo has so many things in it. Let me find the right. There we go. So we call it RX, but we call it, the proper name for it would be a date range. Okay, not year to date, but date range. So here's an example. Let me clear some filters here. So here is a dashboard, right? All the same filters on it. But my date, I moved my date range, instead of being upper right, I moved it to the upper left. But I'm looking at January through March 2019. So and we tell you right here, your current start and end is January through March. Your prior period that you're comparing to is January through March of 2018, okay? And so from here, you can grab and do whatever you want. I can say, actually, my program was May and June last year, 2018. How do we do on that program? I just go and I highlight both months, and boom. Now I'm just looking at May and June, current versus prior. Yeah. The question?
So on that, do you have, for every item, a start date, so you know that there was actually data in that period? So say you were looking at a 3-year rolling, right? Mm-hmm. But the product, one of the products might have only started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you indicate when the start date is in this database?
What we do is, in the metric, if you put items on a report and you have month and year across the top, and let's just say most of them have sold the whole time, but this one item here at the top had nothing for the first 3 months. We can use a couple of different techniques. One is, it's an if null, where we'll say even if there is null, like no data, we'll put either a 0 or a mark. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to have any other data on that dashboard. I could say, show me my sales by month, year to date, for this item, and if the item only had sales in November and December, January through there and would be there with zeros in it. As one way.
Okay. And second question, you were talking about supplier revenue earlier?
Yeah.
On domestic sales, does that include FET?
Well, John, it depends, I guess, on your integration. On the shipment template, standard file, suppliers send us. what is the revenue that we capture on there? Does it include, is it just the FOB? Is it the laid in? What is it? I don't know.
It is whatever they send us is
Okay.
the answer. So it's highly variable dependent on the client implementation and what they're sending out of their ERP. And most commonly, we're being sent cases without revenue.
Oh.
But
Okay.
yeah, I can't give you a single answer because it's not uniform.
We can investigate that with you. And if you'd like to leverage that, if you have both your shipment revenue, maybe it's your FOB on there, and you have the distributor's revenue from the STR data, right? Now you can, see where I'm going? You can start to calculate your profit, or their profit, rather, distributor's margins. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this? No? One other thing to show you, which is kind of neat, is you can even go across time periods. I have to get these to, I don't have them sorted the right way, but I could say, hey, I ran a program that was November, December, and January, right? Or actually, or December, Jan, Feb, or something, right? You can even go across years, and it will tell you, oh, okay, well, your start date was December 2018, your end date's February 2019, compared to those same months the other way. They're ordered, what do you call it? Sorted based on their calendar month, but I think we have a way of moving it so December would be first. So you can go across years, which is interesting. And there's other ways. Some people don't like to, or might have an instance where they want to, you see how we're doing versus the prior year? So let's say, August through October is going to be August through October this year versus August through October the prior year. Some people want instead to be able to look at, well, they like that, but they also maybe want to look at August to October versus May through the 3 months leading up to it, right? So it's not the prior year, it's the prior months. With me? It's like this rolling 3 months versus the prior 3 months. You have that option too. Okay? So you've got a lot of options here that really make a major difference. So think about if you want to start implementing any of these new date ranges. They're easy to take your existing dashboards, for example, that are all year to date right now, just switch them out to be this range. And you're just training people to say, look, if you want to see year to date, then just go like that, right? But I think if you're managing a distributor, it's a lot better for analyzing a program or something. You can pick specific months and really get a little more benefit. So that's a little trick and a little best practice I wanted to mention. I think that's it. We purposely left in quite a bit of time. Anybody have anything else before we go on to the next session? No? Any other questions about analytics? Sure, Patricia.
Is there a new analytics release for good data? Like a 289 would be next?
A GreatVines release?
Yes. There
There is a 289. Yes, and it's mostly around goal, Swiss cheese reporting, et cetera. It coincides with your GreatVines release. You have to be on a certain GreatVines release before you can get that. So there's some timing involved, right? Yes, there's always new stuff coming. In the future, we are going to do a better job of timing them at the same time. So when you upgrade to the next release of GreatVines, you all also upgrade to a new analytics version to keep all the latest and greatest. And we've gotten out of sync occasionally with that stuff. That's probably too much information for most of you, but yes.
Will there ever be a scenario where the full screen will be able to be used?
Okay, the width.
Yeah.
Yes, so when we embed, good question, when we embed GreatVines in the browser like this, we are limited to a screen size. It's an iframe, it's an embedded thing. And so I think the answer is no. Jim may know the answer better. We've never gone more than this. If you guys are savvy with your browser, Control plus, blows things up, which probably doesn't serve your purpose because now it's just too big and you don't get the benefit. But we typically use that quite a bit to try to make things fit or get what you need. But yeah, this buffer here and here on the side, I believe in the browser is what we're stuck with.
So Good Data has some new capability they call gooddata.ui, and it's JavaScript components that go on pages. And so, we are, at some point, the stuff we put in the mobile app, we'll always continue to have the ability to iframe in Good Data or any other BI app in the mobile app. But in the future, you'll have interactive Java widgets by default in the mobile app, and that'll be our best practice recommendation, and they'll be able to interact with back and forth. So you might be able to do something like right now when we say, create objectives using that wizard, you might be able to create an objective from a dashboard or something where you're clicking a link and the drill through is able to do something more interactive. They'll also be responsive, so they will move as the page moves. So yeah, watch for that. Good Data to you. It's like, I don't have a timeline. You saw it's not on our roadmap. So it's probably a little ways out, but it's capability that's pretty rich from them. Unfortunately for us, it takes our application developers who understand JavaScript working with our BI developers who understand the BI platform a little more collaborative to get everything working. But that's kind of more future direction where we're going. Another feature that will be coming, Good Data has a thing called Analytic Designer. So what we do using Good Data is a pretty good way for admin level people to design the analytics they want consumed by the masses, and then the masses get to consume, right? They change filters. They don't play around too much. Analytic Designer is an analyst tool. So they've had it for a while. We have had way too many metrics, way too many fields for Analytic Designer to be of any use because it's just so much almost garbage that a user just can't use it. And we've been talking to Good Data for several years now about, they want us to introduce that tool to our user community, and we're like, well, it's not usable because blah, blah. So they've introduced filtering on the metrics, filtering, and they've got filtering on fields coming up. So we will be able to kind of expose that capability. And this isn't for all your users, right? This is to make this system more valuable to a few key users that are analysts within your business organization. So that's another kind of thing to watch for coming in Good Data. That doesn't really need to be on our roadmap. That's just a capability within the tool that will be probably highly beneficial to a few users within your organizations.
So John, that's basically saying that this is going to enable analysts to more easily create their own dashboards on the fly and design their own stuff. Grab a metric, drag and drop it, put it here and there, and build their own report.
And they could save a report, or it's more likely bespoke analytic work that they're doing for a project or something, right? That right now they're having to take 3 different things and export it into Excel and do some VLOOKUPs or whatever. It would try and eliminate that. It's more ClickView-like or Tableau-like capability within Good Data itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any work being done in terms of dashboard performance? Like that delay every time you change a filter or a view?
The vendor's always working on performance. One thing they recently did is they signed a new database partner. So they have, sorry for the technical mumbo jumbo, smaller projects are running in an ETL database called, I don't remember. The larger projects are in a columnar data store called Vertica. And so those of you that have more data than kind of X, you get it put into Vertica, unless you're in this other one that performs better. And they have a new database partner that runs on Amazon, Snowflake. So they have partnered with Snowflake, and they claim performance is amazing with Snowflake. And so at some point, maybe all of our clients will move to Snowflake, or just the larger vertical one. You kind of have to just see how it performs. So that's one area they're working on performance is different database types. But we're somewhat reliant on them when it comes to performance. It's a little bit outside our control.
I was just going to briefly add while people think about other questions. I believe it was Scott that was asking about full screen. Those dashboards that you're seeing, if your team is all sitting on 40-inch, using TVs as monitors or something, those can be designed to be enormous if you'd like. Most of our best practice is generally around 1,000 to 1,200 pixel screen size, so that's what we usually start with. Even on, say, an iPad, if you're looking at a full screen dashboard, we'll usually design it around that width. I think some of what Tim was referring to are things that we're intentionally restricting to fit on certain device sizes, like the homepage of the mobile app can only be 500 pixels wide or something like that. So if you feel that they're too small, we can work with you to make them bigger. We just want to make sure all your users can benefit from them, that we're not blowing out someone's little phone screen.
Right.
So.
Most people are looking at it in my position on a monitor.
Yeah. Okay.